Among the most famous military commanders in history is Alexander the Great. He succeeded his father, Philip I, king of the Greek country of Macedonia, in 336 BCE when he was just 20 years old. He then started a string of bold military operations to occupy the lands already occupied by him and extend his dominion eastward. Alexander's conquest of the First Persian Empire as king allowed Macedonia to expand its borders to include what is now Pakistan and India. He promoted Greek civilization throughout the Middle East throughout those expeditions, which helped Hellenistic culture flourish following his death in 323 BCE. Alexander's military career is notable for the numerous wins he achieved while having a vastly inferior force. Historians also mention his alleged insistence on commanding his troops from the front lines of combat at all times. He therefore suffered multiple severe injuries, including a cleaver wound to the skull, a sword gash in the thigh, a catapult projectile stuck in his shoulder, and an arrow that supposedly nearly killed him by piercing his lung. These are a few of Alexander's most notable conflicts, along with one siege that had an ongoing impact on the environment that is still evident now. Battle of Thebes, 335 BCE. Alexander marched there with his army to put an end to the uprising when the Greek city-state of Thebes, not to be confused with the Egyptian city of Thebes, rebelled against Macedonian control. One of Alexander's first significant campaigns was won. Alexander destroyed Thebes, according to Paul Cartledge, an emeritus professor of Greek culture at the University of Cambridge, in part as a warning to other Greek city-states not to fight against Macedonian control. The plan was not entirely effective, as in 331 BCE Sparta launched an unsuccessful insurrection. Alexander had already reached Asia by then and had conquered the Persian Empire. Battle of the Granicus River, 334 BCE. Alexander defeated the Persian Empire for the first time in significant fashion at the Granicus River in Asia Minor, also known as Anatolia, which comprises the western portion of present-day Turkey. Alexander invaded Persian land and engaged in combat with the satraps, or local governors, of the empire. With his victory, Alexander began his invasion of the Persian Empire and established Macedonian dominance in Asia Minor. It gave him the confidence to venture farther into the empire's domain, confronting King Darius II's army. Battle of Issus, 333 BCE. The ancient town of Issus, located in what is now modern-day Turkey, was the scene of Alexander's first conflict with King Darius I of the Persian Empire. This was still on the western border of the Persian Empire, much like the Battle of Granicus. This is highly significant because it begs the question of why the Persian king would choose to meet Alexander directly in the western part of his empire. Cartledge queries. He asserts that Darius felt compelled to personally assemble his Persian troops and lead them in a significant fight because Alexander's campaign in Asia Minor was so threatening. An important step forward in Alexander's campaign to overthrow the Persian Empire was taken when his army routed the Persian army. 2 years later, in the Battle of Gaugamela. Siege of Tyre, 332 BCE. Alexander went to Tyre after soundly defeating Darius at the Battle of Issus. Tyre, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in history, is situated in what is now Lebanon. At the time, military invaders faced a struggle because Tyre was situated on an island encircled by strong fortifications. In order to attack the city, Alexander constructed a bridge connecting the mainland to the island, from which his soldiers could launch siege tower attacks. After the siege was successful, Alexander captured the city. Unintentionally, the causeway he constructed also had another historical effect. The isthmus that currently connects Tyre to the mainland was formed in part by the sediment that accumulated around this causeway throughout time. Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BCE. The second and final battle between Alexander and Darius took place in the ancient hamlet of Gaugamela in modern-day Iraq. Even though Darius's army was larger than Alexander's, Alexander prevailed in combat over the Persian monarch once more. Alexander declared himself the ruler of the Persian Empire after this victory. Darius managed to flee without harm, but one of his province governors killed him in 330 BCE. According to Cartledge, the Persian Empire, the rest of it is at Alexander's mercy after winning Gaugamela. Really, It's just a matter of time until he physically has control over everything. During the time of Darius, one of the capital cities of the Persian Empire was the ancient city of Persepolis, which is situated in modern-day Iran. Alexander advanced his forces in the direction of the Persian Gate mountain pass outside the city after defeating Darius. After Alexander overcame the Persian forces guarding the mountain route, he was able to seize Persepolis and set it on fire. Alexander marched east to establish his dominance over the portions of the Persian Empire that stretched into modern-day Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India after seizing control of the Persian Empire's capital. Battle of the Hydaspes, 326 BC. Alexander's final significant military triumph occurred in modern-day Pakistan at the Hydaspes River, also known as the Jhelum River. There, he engaged in combat with King Porus and faced opponents he had never faced before. War elephants, 200 of which were employed by Porus's soldiers. Even though Alexander came the closest to losing at Hydaspes, his army eventually won. If Porus swore allegiance to Alexander, the newly crowned Persian Empire monarch, Alexander would have led him to continue as the region's ruler. Alexander made his way back to the empire's center after securing the eastern boundary. But he was done fighting. In the ancient city of Babylon, which is located in modern-day Iraq, Alexander fell ill and passed away in 323 BCE. The death's cause is not known. The 32-year-old monarch's death triggered a string of conflicts about who would lead his enormous empire because he left no heir or obvious successor.